Welcome to the AI User Group live chat. Today is our first live chat leading up to the exciting AI User Conference that's happening in Fort Mason, April 15th, 16th, and 17th. And today's event will be a special preview of that conference. It's a 3-day conference focusing on marketing and designer and developers. So each day will have a different topic, and which will have a whole slate of speakers. There'll also be exhibitors and a chance to come to Fort Mason and see a lot of the latest companies showing their wares, if you will, in an exhibition hall. There'll be a main stage. All that is free, so people should come down and check it out. And additionally, we'll have special sessions happening on each of those days. And today we're going to be talking about one of those sessions. With me is Bill Raymond. He's the founder of Bill Talks AI and CameraMast. He'll be speaking on Marketer Day, which is the first day. Right, Bill? And so I have a special story of how I met Bill, but I want to turn it over to Bill now and let him introduce himself.
Hi, Phil. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here today. I'm excited to talk about this conference and what we'll be talking about there. I think a lot of times people think AI is just a chat bot or something along those lines, but there's actually much more to it than that. And I'm going to show some very unique and interesting ways that you can be more productive using AI, and we'll get into that. But yeah, my name's Bill Raymond. I've been a consultant for about 20 years, and I really got into AI about 4 years ago. And now I feel like what I'm seeing is even though people have been interested for a long time, I think that we're having a moment right now where people are recognizing that, yes, you can get productivity gains out of AI.
Right. So it's going from hype to hands-on in a way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Bill Talks AI. What exactly is that? And it's a newsletter and
yeah, so when I started working with AI, one of the ways that I personally learn is I share what I learn with other people. So I'll be talking at conferences, I'll be writing, and I finally decided to start AI using my newsletter called BillTalksAI.com. So that's where I kind of share a lot of the things that I learn with other people. And you've seen it. I try to keep it fun and light and not too technical.
Well, obviously, it's made an impact. You were invited to speak at the conference, and on a topic. And let me kind of see what the sorry, my thing went to sleep. So, how I build training programs 3 times faster using AI. So it's not just about AI; it's a specific application of AI around what you do, which is educate people, create programs, training, videos, courses, and things like that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that in terms of what you do and what you deliver, and then the challenges you were facing that AI helped you overcome in terms of delivering this product or this training?
Yeah, I think about training as having sort of multi-steps, right? First, you have to define what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and what's the market, who's the market for what you're trying to deliver. And there's an element of being able to collaborate with AI and defining that a little bit further. When I'm working on training that's live with my customers, that's one thing, because I can just say, hey, here's this new thing that I just learned about, let's learn together. But when you're doing pre-recorded training that is available as an e-learning platform, you really have to think about what it is that you're developing, and you need to spend a lot of time making sure you get that just right. So essentially what I've been doing a lot of with AI is to kind of help AI help me build the training programs a lot faster. And yeah, so I use some of the chat LLMs, as we call them, large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, but also I use.
Do you have a most favored son type of thing? Or are they good for different?
Okay, well, the first one was ChatGPT, so I think once you get into that,
the first love is always there.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So, what were the challenges you were having creating training programs? Like, why did you say, "Oh, I got to do this better"? Like, what were some of the issues you were having?
Well, you and I both like to do video, and that's one of the ways that we met. We were talking here at the AI User Group, and I felt like it's so hard to get training properly done, especially if you have to pre-record it.
Mm-hmm.
It's you sitting in front of a camera, recording yourself, plus also in my case, the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to have all of that coordinated and look good and sound good. And here we're in this nice podcast room, but my guest bedroom that I do all my recordings out of.
So if you have to do every part of the process, it's a trade-off in time. Obviously, you're not a AI agent where you can do things simultaneously.
Right.
So you have to like do one thing and then do another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that editing of the video and putting together the syllabus and the structure of it and make sure it maps to the flow and everything, that's time consuming, right?
It's very time consuming. Creating a 6-minute training video can take 4 to 6 hours. And then when you're thinking about writing the script and producing it and getting it just right, it could take 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So I have really brought this down to about 4 to 6 hours in total for everything, as opposed to just the video part.
Right.
So that's really pretty incredible.
And so previously you'd have to probably get somebody else, maybe somebody in the Philippines or somebody to kind of do all your editing video. A lot of people do that. They look offshore and things. This allows you to kind of take control of the whole process more, saving you on the back and forth and having to deal with corrections, which take a lot of time itself. So you have now more control of the, kind of vertical process in terms of producing it and things like that.
Exactly. So things that used to be a big problem, if I'm reading from a script, my eyes going everywhere, and then that distracts the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now the AI has video tools to kind of keep your eyes, making it look like it's looking at the camera, right? There's audio, and that's what I think you were referring to. I used to use great resources online on a product called Fiverr. I don't know if you've used them before.
Sure. Yeah, right. Hire a dude.
They did almost all my audio editing for me. And that's a cost.
Right.
And, people say, $5 for an edit.
Yeah, and it's not just a cost. It's just like what they call transaction costs. It's a supervision, back and forth, communicating your edits. That takes, that's a cost.
Absolutely.
Well, right?
And also, not to mention the fact that now I'm distracted because I have this other thing to do. So what AI is bringing to me, what some of these new modern AI video editing tools are doing, is it's giving me a platform to do all of this by myself in one fell swoop.
Right.
I don't have to push things off to the side. I don't need to ask other people to help. I can get that done, and it's all authentically me still. So we're not talking about an AI bill on the screen.
Right. So you could be what Sam Altman calls a one-person unicorn, right? Is that what you're is that what you're saying? Like now you could do everything, right? So it's not just AI doing like one part of the process, right? It's like fits into so many different parts from beginning to end. Can you kind of walk us through kind of that beginning to end from concept to, delivery, commerce, if you will, that whole process? Take us through that step, and then where does AI fit in different ways in this whole process?
Yeah, well, for sure, AI fits into every part of the process. It starts with the ideation. What is a training program going to look like? I always like to create the training programs for me. So I want to make sure that if I develop this, and I'm happy with it, then I believe that my audience will be, because I feel like I know the people that are paying attention to my content. And so I want AI to help me, though, find the gaps. So what did I come up with in that training syllabus that's missing? And AI is really good at that. It's also really good at helping me fine tune. Sometimes I overthink things. Sometimes I create too much content, and it can help me pull back as well.
And, AI is increasingly having a longer, what they call context window, right? So it knows previous conversations you had, in terms of other courses you've created, ideation, your research. It's kind of taking all that into consideration when it kind of gives you back, suggestions and advice on what to do, right? It's not one and done type of thing.
That's right.
So you're building a relationship in some sense, intellectually, creatively with AI. Yeah. Okay.
So that initial part is a collaborative piece where I'm defining the content, where I'm defining the training. But when you get into scripting it, I don't know how many times someone's ever had to read from a script, but if you've ever had to create content before in front of a camera, you think you've talked for maybe 3 minutes and all of a sudden you talked for 20 minutes.
Right.
My videos are consumable 6-minute pieces material.
And that's important, right? You don't want
Yes.
to be too presumptuous in terms of people's time and stuff, right? And it's an insult
Mhm.
to say, oh, you got to sit through this for a whole hour or 2 hours or something, right? Yeah. Okay.
That's right. And
And so what's
so
the optimum time? 6 minutes, you think, in terms of, is that one module, then you watch another one? So each module or the entire course would be a
yeah,
6 minute?
so I break them out into modules,
Uh-huh.
and then each module has some training elements inside of it.
Mhm.
So we'll have a module. For example, if we just take the course that I'll be talking about in this event next week,
Mhm.
it's called effective prompting. And so what I'm going to do is help people understand prompting. So there's a
Mhm.
module around just the basics of prompting. There's a
Mhm.
module around what is AI and how does it work.
Mm.
There's videos underneath there that are
Mhm.
each 6-minute bite-sized pieces.
Mm.
And it's super important that each one of those pieces has its own standalone piece of content. So if, let's say, you're taking my course and you're going through 1, 2, 3, 4 videos, and then all of a sudden a big project just got dumped on you and you say, I need to skip ahead a little bit,
Mhm.
you can.
Right.
And it's all set up for
Or
that.
if you get through one or two modules in one sitting, you get something out of it. It's not like you have to
Right.
sit through a 20-minute thing to get the punchline, right? So,
Exactly.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So that's a way of thinking about chopping up
Hmm.
knowledge, and AI helps you kind of do that,
Hmm.
right? Okay, so now you're in front of the screen, you're recording. Is AI helping you there in any way? Are you using like a teleprompter type of thing, or are you just kind of memorizing and winging it? How are you kind of like speaking in a kind of clear flow into the camera?
It's going to depend on the training. So if there's one where I'm kind of really speaking with a slide on the screen, for example, there'd be a teleprompter kind of style situation going on there where I'm reading from it. But for the most part, when I'm doing the screen recordings, I have a script and then I try to hold to that script. And I give myself less opportunity to speak because pretty soon it will be over. 6 minutes is fast.
Right.
And of course, I'm going to make lots of mistakes. So this is where AI comes in first and foremost, is when I make all the mistakes, I can just do them, be totally fine with making those mistakes, and then I just finish recording and AI cleans up the mistakes for me.
So this brings up, like the story of how we met. All right. So I'm going to kind
Yeah.
of like, it'll lead to a point and stuff. So I realized I was spending too much time behind the screen. And I said, oh, I got to go out and I got to meet people.
Mhm.
So I go to meet up and things, and I see, all these different events happening in the San Francisco area. Events happening, an AI user group is one event, and they seem to be consistent and, have interesting topics and stuff. So it's okay, that's the first one I'll go to, right? And so I come into their kind of beautiful offices here in downtown San Francisco on Mission Street, and then, kind of come up. And as I was coming up the elevator, you joined me in the elevator, and we said, polite pleasantries. Hello, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And we introduce each other. And then the event happened, which is really great. And afterwards, they feed us with pizza and soda pop and everything. And we got to talking. And I said, and I had my little camera because I'm starting to, video things. And I've always had my own challenges like, oh, I take a lot of video, but I have no time to produce it.
Mhm.
And I complained about that. I said, I got a lot of backed up video and, I just can't break through that time log jam, right? And you said, oh, I use this software, Descript. And I'll let you tell a little bit about it because since you're talking about production. And, I said, oh, that's fascinating. That's great. We chatted about it. Then I go home, I downloaded it. I tried using it. I said, oh, this is wonderful. And you'll explain why. But one of the things that it does is that it goes through your entire audio, identifies the ums and the ahs and all that kind of mistakes, and then helps you kind of cleanse those, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what you're kind of talking about here, right? Can you explain a little bit about what you thought of that moment? Because I thought we had something, a moment there. But then tell us about the Descript software.
We wondered 100% we had a moment. Look at us. We're here talking now.
that's
we
right.
we immediately hit it off, and it's been a great friendship so far. I really appreciate everything that you've done for me, Fel, and it's been great having a conversation with you almost every week now, I think.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so one of the things that these tools can help you do is do those simple cleanup things. We say ums and ahs all the time, and we don't even realize we're doing it. But also, I can really screw up a training. So a single recording could take 2 hours for a 6-minute video. Because I say the wrong thing, I stumble on myself, a notification shows up because I forgot to silence my computer, whatever. And they take a long time. So what's really useful here is that it can not only help me clean up the ums and the ahs, but can also find all of the distracting moments, all the times that I had to do retakes, and just get rid of those, push those to the side. I can always put them back if I want them. AI is not always perfect, but that already saves me time because it's just getting rid of all those bad takes that I that I
We could do some blooper reels or something, right? If you want to have a little thing. Okay, so that helps you produce it much faster, right? So it's all about shaving off minutes and seconds and hours, basically, right? And so that's a dramatic thing. And the cool thing about that is that I guess what it does is it transcribes the text, puts it side by side with the video, and you could actually edit the text, and it edits the video, and then you could fine tune it by looking at the timeline and everything like that. But that's really dramatic because if you're telling a narrative, you're telling a story, you just basically edit the story, and it takes care of the video. Whereas previously you had to back and forth, capture the right moment, all that type of stuff, and that was time consuming.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the one thing that you're touching on that is such a huge time saver is that you're editing video and audio like it's a doc.
Right.
You're not editing this squiggly timeline that you see.
Like it's a duck, meaning like
a doc.
A doc.
Like a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document.
Duck, and I go, okay. Because there is a feature there called ducking inside.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not talking about ducking yet. Yeah.
It walks like a duck.
So you can edit that like a doc, and you just simply say, you know what, I don't like these words. I can just cross them off.
Right.
I don't need to worry about editing some sort of a timeline, which has all these audio,
Right.
It doesn't, doing that is not something that everyone can do.
Right.
There's professionals that know how to do that in Adobe Premiere and these other pro tools. But for me, I'm trying to just get my content out. I'm trying to just release a training video.
Perfect is the enemy of the good, right?
Right, exactly. Right. So I want the easy path that is still very professional.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so now you got your video produced, and then you need to distribute it, right? So you choose a platform. Tell us a little bit about that. What's your thinking in terms of what platforms do you distribute your content on? How do you kind of monetize? How do you get subscribers? Tell us about that part of it.
Yeah, well, there's a few ways. One, of course, is I have a YouTube channel, and I also have my Bill Talks AI newsletter. But usually when I'm creating full course material, e-learning material, either I'm doing this for a company that asks me to put this together so that they can learn internally. And in that case, it's a contract, and we sign up, and we have all of the syllabus and everything set up so we know what that is going to be. Or I partner with another company called GoSkills, and GoSkills sells my training on their website, and that's what this particular
so they take care of all the they put it on their platform, and then the marketing and promotion and are you involved in that? I guess you do your own marketing promotion through social media and stuff like that.
I'm absolutely involved. I mean, it's still my work. My face is on the screen, so I'm going to make sure that it gets the right representation that I would like to have from my own brand. And they're, of course, a great partner. That's what they do, is they partner with great trainers, and one of the cool things is that they have an audience of L&D people, learning and development people in organizations, where they can just go ahead and sign up with GoSkills. They don't need to have to find me on the list of all the other trainers. Right. They can go to GoSkills, and GoSkills has this library of material.
And you probably don't know a lot about behind the scenes and what they do, but is there kind of AI elements in their process as well that you know about? Do they use AI to make their system or platform more efficient?
Well, I think they are working on creating some AI-driven tools that I've seen them announcing recently, and I think that's a new journey that they'll be going on. But
of course, they have a lot of AI content for learning as well. I mean, that's a topic, right? As well. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now you've got millions of people watching your videos, and things are just rolling in. How do you track your analytics, performance, who's watching what, and then how do you kind of retarget them, or do you have a kind of post-event process where you build relationships with your audience?
I
And
think
stuff?
what's important is just the relationship building piece. I think you could keep on refreshing your watch count on YouTube
Hmm.
and your opens in their Substack, and constantly communicating with the training companies.
Hmm.
I think, to me, the more important thing is find out what people need now in order to do their role more effectively
Right.
using AI, and focus on that.
And go back and produce more content. I mean, now,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
your part of the
It's
process,
my
right?
niche.
Yeah, that's your niche. So you have increased throughput,
Hmm.
right? And you have a platform for distribution. Do you also do kind of audio podcasts or things like that? Are you thinking about other channels, or does the Go Skills platform take care of kind of syndication and things like
Well,
that?
they take care of the syndication of that particular training program that I'll
Okay.
be talking
I
about in
see.
this
Okay.
course, but
Okay.
in this workshop rather next week.
Mhm.
Yeah, certainly I have a podcast that is fairly popular.
Mhm.
We have over 25,000 listeners. It's
Oh,
called the
good.
Agile in Action podcast,
Okay.
which is not related to AI,
Uh-huh.
but it's really about how we can work faster, more efficiently, and provide a safe space for teams.
Right, right. Interesting. And so, okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what drives you? You said you were you consulted on what was it, project kind of management, or
Hmm.
different types of things. What got you interested in this kind of efficient processes and stuff that made you look at whatever you're doing, that, oh, there's an AI element to this? Like, what in you drives that kind of?
Well,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a software developer,
Uh-huh.
and I started with a startup, and I started doing my software development. And they said, you're really good at communicating
Uh-huh.
how the project is going, better than you're actually doing software development. So
Uh-huh.
I got into
You
product
took that as a
marketing.
compliment, right?
Yeah,
Is that
no, it was fair.
right? Right,
So
right, right.
I got into product marketing,
Okay,
and
okay.
then I got into release management
Uh-huh.
and what I guess we'd call today technical program management.
Right.
And a lot of that kind of allowed me to kind of straddle technology and know what's going on over there, so
Mhm.
I can stay up to date and keep up to date on these new technologies. So I'm very much an early, user of a lot of
And
these
AI has a
products.
possibility of changing that as well,
Hmm.
supply chain, procurement, delivery, DevOps, a whole range
Hmm.
of different things. And just so happens this particular case, you're talking about creating your courses and stuff, but there's a whole huge impact, right?
Well, if you read almost any study from Harvard, Gartner, any of these studies that have come out towards the end of 2024 and the beginning of this year, 13% of information workers use AI every day.
Mhm.
13%.
Mhm.
That number, everyone else is getting a plus $20 or $30 or $40 addition to their Microsoft Office or Google Workspace to purchase ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And CEOs, CFOs are going, how come AI can be more efficient, but only 13% of you are using it?
Right.
So there are a lot of people that need to know these basic skills. And so that's what's driving me right now.
Yeah, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of headroom here, which is really funny because I have a high school, a kid, a
Hmm.
child and stuff, and so there, and he's always like, "Hey, Dad, can I use ChatGPT, your account?" And I said, "Because I don't want to get him his account, too early, like getting a driver's license type of thing." That's okay. And so then he's saying, "Oh, in school they actually discourage them to use ChatGPT, right? And I mean, right in a way, rightfully so. You don't want to kind of outsource your thinking too early, right? You want to learn basic skills and concepts and grammar and how to write and stuff. But then when you get into the workforce, as you said, the CEOs are going, well, we got to use this stuff, right? Because time is money, right? And so is there a disconnect here? Or maybe there's a kind of breaking point where we're not training people in the proper way, almost negating them and then expecting them to know when they're in, and that's the education process. And do you think, now they're talking about AI educators, right? Like AI as a teacher, right? And then the in-class teacher would be there to work with you on your homework, but you're doing a lot of your learning from the AI. So that's kind of changing. Can you talk a little bit about, that disconnect between telling our young people, you shouldn't use it because you need to learn basics, and then expecting them to use it when they get into the workforce?
Well, I think one of the things that makes AI a little bit harder for some people to gather and understand is because, when Microsoft Excel came out, I was there for that. It used to be Lotus 1, 2, 3. That's when I was growing up, and then all of a sudden Excel came out and it changed the game with all their formula capabilities, this visual interface, the ability to do scripting, and let me just tell you, everyone adopted it because they saw the value in it.
Mhm.
AI can do so much, it's almost hard to tell what the value is. And when it comes to training, one of the biggest unlocks with the training course is that you could actually ask AI to create a training program for you. You could say, I've never gardened before, so let me get a gardening course, and it will teach you that. And so same thing with school.
That's where the prompting comes in, right?
Yeah, but that's where prompting comes in. And if you don't understand how it works, you might get bad results and go, oh, this thing is no good. So that's where I'm focusing on, is helping people get the value out of it. And I think from your perspective, asking kids not to use ChatGPT or to use ChatGPT and having this sort of divergent thought, listen, I think that we all learn in different ways. And, maybe I go to 10 websites or maybe I get it summarized. Do I think that it's a good idea to have AI just answer all of your questions for a quiz? No, I don't think that's a good thing, because then I don't know if you've retained the knowledge. Do I think people should be able to use it as another way to gain knowledge? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's doing like trig and pre-calc. That stuff had made my head spin then, and now it's like like it's Greek. So then he just takes a picture of it and then puts it on ChatGPT. It solves it and walks you through it. And I go, oh, okay, now I get it. So there's you have to be, I guess you have to train people, raise people to want to learn, right? And not just kind of take it passively, right? So be an active learner, that iterate the prompts, be able to kind of get it to a point where you've actually had your input. There's a kind of creative element to it.
Yeah, I'm fully aware that there are people that take my training courses, either online or live, that they are being told by their manager. They'll tell me, like, I'm here because my manager told me to take the class.
Right.
But my hope, my aspiration is that I give you some ideas and concepts that you can really take away and use, right? And that you actually got value out of it, rather than checking the box because you said you went and took the course.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so important about this, is to not treat AI like we're not gatekeeping things. We're not trying to make it seem complicated, even though it's a complicated technology. There's a way that you can learn and understand how to use this and be more effective with it. And that's really what I try to focus on.
Yeah. And so, kind of like that's kind of wrapping up here with great conversation, by the way. It's for my first time. I'm really actually enjoying this. Thank you for this, being a wingman on this journey.
Thank you.
Stuff, right? Yeah, so this is great. So, looking at the other side of the employment spectrum, say older workers, right, who are now facing an uncertain job market, maybe you're kind of in layoffs. I'm actually also a career coach, and I'm seeing a lot of mid-career, then definitely late career people concerned, right, especially as layoffs happening, employment in the age of AI, that kind of fear and uncertainty. Seems like courses like yours, which basically say, you just have to have curiosity. You have to just kind of jump in, get hands-on. What do you say to those workers who are now kind of saying, oh, what do I do? Like I've worked here for 20 years or whatever, and now I have to, I'm expected to do something new.
What I tell everyone is that you have a craft. You've learned that skill over the years. And that skill set, that capability that you have, that's something that took you a long time to build. And no one's going to go into AI and just say, oh, let me just see how a biochemist does their work and become a biochemist, right? It's just not how it works. So your capabilities and your skills matter very much. And what you're doing now is using AI as your companion to help you do more work more effectively. And even if it's not more work, maybe you're getting more advancements done. Maybe you're completing your work at a faster rate, so that you can get the busy work out of the way, so you can remain
to that point. It's like it's a great equalizer. If you're going to compete against a 25-year-old, who just kind of finishes a 6-pack of Coke and just keeps cranking, by increasing your own productivity, right, within your busy life, being able to deliver more for less, which is what productivity is, it is an equalizer. People should see it as an opportunity to stay competitive against younger workers and things like that, right? I mean, that seems to be the opportunity here for older people.
I mean, I fall into the category of an older person, and I couldn't be more happy to be embracing these technologies right now. To me, it's a very exciting time.
Yeah.
I know fully that there's political challenges around AI, and we know that there's concerns and issues around how these models are built and where is this data coming from and is it hallucinating. But to be frank with you, it has saved me so much time in my career that I can get more work done. So it honestly, to me, it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And
So we're not put out to pasture just yet.
well,
right? So
I
we're
mean,
still producing.
I'm not putting myself out to pasture.
Even though the grass is greener on that side. So let's wrap up here. Can we put up the last slide? Sort of look at where we have the QR code, and then we talk about all the kind of different things. You want to kind of give the final pitch for the conference, and you're going to be in it, and maybe pitch the bigger thing as well?
Yeah, I mean, the AI User Conference is April 15th, 16th, 17th of 2025. And I'm really excited to be part of it. And, one of the things that I think really the team has worked on heavily with this group, with this conference, is to enable people to go to workshops. So they're not just, here's some slides that talk about how you might be able to accomplish something. We're showing you how you can accomplish something. So while you and I are having this conversation, Fal, between you, we don't have a screen up and I'm not demonstrating things. When we get there and you're in that course, whether you're live streaming or in person and in San Francisco, then you'll be able to actually see how all of this gets done. And that's what I'm excited about, is it's going to be hands-on. You're going to see how I actually do produce training 3 times faster.
Yeah, and that's the usefulness of this conference versus other ones, right? So it's very workshop oriented, it's very education oriented, and you just have to kind of go, right? But where it's such a, things are moving so fast, right? So by the time you learn something, there's something else is there. So you just got to not be afraid and just immerse yourself and let it kind of like flow over you, right? And that's how you kind of learn, right? So the key thing is your attitude. You have to be curious. You have to, say, hey, how do I do this? Don't be afraid to push the red button, and in a way, and just kind of get, and you had mentioned that as well. Like you were surprised that I just we had a conversation and then I just went and started using it, right? And so, yeah, no, I appreciated that you appreciated that, because I find that a very important thing to kind of keep up with. All right, so great. So it's going to be a great event, and this was like a, kind of a good preview, I think. We should do more of these. We got to start meeting like this, as they say. So it'd be wonderful to do more. And this is a great organization here, the AI User Group. They just kind of put fantastic events together on a weekly basis. It just, fills a room, packs it, really interesting information, gives me a lot of stuff to kind of make videos on and things like that. So there's something for everyone, as they say, right? So I want to thank everyone for joining. We'll hopefully see everyone at the event on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of April. Get your taxes in and head over to the event, and then find out how to pay for next year's taxes, right? So, all right, so thanks a lot.
Well, and Fal, just real quick, I mean, obviously, you are a great coach, and so everyone, if you're at the event, look out for Fal.
Yeah, look at me.
He's a really great guy, and you'll learn a lot from
him.
Well,
thank you very much. It's nice to have friends. You have to have human friends, right? And he's not just like an AI bot or something. All right, great. Well, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.